Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard Cisneros at your service. Today I will be reading the January 11th Daily Inspirational Message. The condensed version is 2 paragraphs long. Then I'll center myself, say a little inner prayer, and then I'll make a couple comments on the message, and I hope it will assist both of us on our journeys. Here we go. Grace. Grace is the gentle flow of God's unconditional love that continuously feeds, guides, and nourishes our souls. No matter how unworthy we may sometimes feel of God's grace, it forever flows through us, unimpeded by the misperceptions that we hold about ourselves or this world. Grace dissolves the ego's judgment-centered and fear-based mindset by awakening us from what never was to what has always been. Even while our minds remain asleep, grace forever holds us in its soft embrace. When we awaken, we will find ourselves in a place that, in truth, we have never left. God's grace is forever safely and securely preserved within our hearts and minds. As the memory of grace is reinforced in us, the ego's world dissolves. Paragraph 2. Today, regardless of how undeserving of forgiveness, love, and compassion the ego tells us that others are, let us set the ego's demands aside, align with love, and offer God's grace to all. As we do, we focus on the love that God created them to be. Because we're all one, as we focus on their loving nature, we reinforce and strengthen our own. When we awaken, what use would we have to judge self or others when we know that only the love of God is real? Why continue to travel the ego's path when we now know it gets us nowhere we want to be? Today, allow forgiveness, love, and compassion to become your companions. When you do, God's grace will flow through you and throughout your day. And you will realize that God's grace is forever yours because you are forever His. Today, let us take this opportunity to practice aligning with the mind of God and offering grace to all of our brothers and sisters, all those who come to mind and all those who we interact with. So what is grace? Grace is God's unconditional love that continuously flows through us when we simply allow what is to be. And the beauty of grace is that you can't earn it. There's nothing you can do that can earn God's grace, because God's grace is your inheritance. As God's child in creation, it's yours. No matter what you think, no matter what you have done, no matter what you do, no matter if you put others down or yourself down, God's grace is always there. It's the foundational principle of God's love for you. Is that He's always shining on you. Yes, through free will, you can block it through judgment of self and others. You can do that if you want. But what you truly want, what we all truly want, is to recall that God's grace is ours in every moment. And it's always simply a simple choice away. I can choose God's grace instead of my own judgments of self and others. I could choose God's grace instead of my worrying and my fear and my anxiousness, my pain, my sorrow. I can choose God's grace. I know that He's on my side because I know that I am His child. And today all we want to do is align with that line of thinking. We want to align with the mind of God. And let's try ourselves to offer that grace to all our brothers and sisters and to ourselves, honestly. Because really, who condemns you more than anybody else in this world who judges you more than anybody. It's yourself. We judge ourselves more than anybody else judges us. No matter how much the ego tries to place the quote-unquote blame out there, you know, in the end, we talk to ourselves more than anybody else does. And so let us offer ourselves grace through the act of forgiveness, through the act of compassion, through the act of understanding God's mercy. And let us just try and be like He is. And so whatever brother or sister comes to mind, and if our thoughts are less than loving in nature, let us stop for a second. Let us remember that our practice today is to offer God's grace, to try to align with the mind of God, and forgive them instead. Offer them compassion instead. Offer them peace. Offer them joy. No matter what they think, say, or do, our only response is to overlook their story and look at their truth, or their true nature, which is that they are God's creations. They are God's children. And so if God is entrusting us with His children, which He is when we are able to think of them or when we are able to interact with them, wouldn't it be almost just proper to show our appreciation for God's trust, for us, for God's trusting His children with us by us offering His children grace? And we're all one, right? We're all one. And so when we are practicing offering grace instead of the ego's judgmental centered fear-based programs to others, these others are parts of ourselves, because being all one. And so when we practice forgiving them, in essence, we're practicing forgiving a part of ourselves. Because everything out there, the external world, and what we think of it, is really a reflection of our internal condition. So what if we align our internal condition with grace? What would this world look like? How would our brothers and sisters appear if we consciously chose to see them first with grace? And only with grace. No matter what the ego said, no matter how much the ego says, that they need to be punished or judged or condemned or whatever, the lies of the ego that only hurt and poison us, let us stop that today. And let us practice, no matter what, offering people grace, forgiving them, offering them compassion, offering them peace, offering them a safe place, no matter what they think, say, or do. Just seeing them as God created them to be, not as how they've been programmed to believe who they are or how we've been programmed to see them. No. We're only going to use God's vision today, God's grace. That's our only requirement for today. In every moment in an interaction, practice asking yourself to walk hand in hand with grace. Make grace your constant companion today and watch this world turn into a heavenly place. Thank you so much for your time. I love you very much. If you can like, comment, or share this video, it would help with the licensing process, and maybe someday somebody will find it because of your efforts. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time again. I love you very much, and God willing, we'll see each other tomorrow. Peace.